Hey everybody, how you doing? Danny Harris here. Yesterday we sent out a video that many of you will have seen that was all about growing your database, and we gave you a few tips and hints on how to get people onto your database, because the reality of it is the bigger your database, the more likely you are to be able to make sales, because you've got more people that you can contact to kind of make offers and sales to. However, the biggest thing you can really do in shifting your thinking, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this, is to start to understand who you want to have on your database, because the old adage in marketing is the money is in the list, and presumably the bigger the list you have, the more sales you're likely to make. And to some extent that kind of rings true, but as many a young lady has said to me before, size is not everything. Your quality of your list is vastly more important than the size of your list. And let me explain it to you like this. If you were interested in selling football shirts, for those from the US or wherever, we're talking about soccer shirts, English Premier League football teams and so on. If I told you you had to go and sell some football shirts, you could potentially think that the best place you could go in this country to go and sell football shirts would be Manchester United's Old Trafford ground, because I believe it's the biggest ground in the UK. I think they have about 70,000-ish people can sort of get in there. So it's the biggest ground amongst the Premier League teams, or roughly speaking. If I'm just out, don't worry about it. But then, so they've got 70,000 people you could potentially sell football shirts to, whereas I believe Bournemouth have the smallest ground, and their ground only holds about 20,000 people. So it's getting on for a quarter the size of Old Trafford. Now, if I said to you, you need to go and sell some football shirts, you would certainly probably want to go to Old Trafford rather than to Bournemouth ground. But if you were selling Bournemouth football shirts, you'd do a much better job at Bournemouth with the smaller group of people. Yeah, does that make sense? So you just because you've got a lot of people, if they're the wrong people, you've got no chance. If you try and sell Manchester United shirts at Liverpool, and you may as well give up on life really, or Tottenham shirts at Arsenal, or whichever way you want to chop it up. But so having the right people on your list is vitally important. But there's only one way you can make sure you've got the right people on your list, and that is to start with, as I've said this a few times, one of the biggest shifts and arguably the most important thing you can learn in marketing is to shift your thinking away from what you want and start looking at life from your potential customer's point of view. Now, when I say customer, I mean member or client, if you're a golf coach or someone who can buy some golf hardware or whatever it happens to be, but we'll just call them all customers because they give you money, so they're kind of customers. So if you look at it from your customer's point of view, but then if you take it one step further, if you were trying to have a conversation and in some way entice someone who was a 17-year-old boy, you would use very different language and references and so on than if you were trying to talk to someone or sell to someone who was maybe an 80-year-old woman, because they live in kind of basically different worlds, and different things will resonate with them, different things interest them, different things are going to pique their interest and so on. So who you write your marketing messages to is vitally important to understand. So what we do is we create what we call a customer avatar. Now, a customer avatar is very simply, you start to sit down and you kind of map out who is your ideal customer now, or your ideal member, or your ideal coaching client, whatever it happens to be. And if you think, right, to start with, are they male or female? Okay, they're whichever happens to be. Are they, how old are they, roughly? How close to the golf club do they live? What, are they married? Are they single? Do they work? What kind of job do they have? It's if you're a very high-end golf club, there's no point in sending out adverts to people that have a low income. It just doesn't work. At the same time, if you're an entry-level kind of golf club, there's no real point in trying to attract people who are super high earners, because they're probably likely to go to the better or the higher quality clubs nearby you, or whatever. Possibly, I don't know. You may beg to differ. But once you start to create this image of this person that you're trying to send your message to, you start to, when you sort of write a marketing campaign, or you structure a marketing campaign, you start to think of as if you're writing or talking to that person and just that one person. And if you were only trying to sell a membership to the one person that walks in the door of your club, you're much more specific to that particular person, because that way the language that you use, the terminology you use and so on, is really going to resonate very, very strongly with that individual, because they've got different thoughts and beliefs and so on to somebody who's in a different kind of demographic or different kind of outline. And even you can give your avatar a name, so I'm writing this message to a guy called Dave. He's 65 years old. He's recently retired, but he wants to keep fit and he wants to have something to do in his spare time and blah, blah, blah. Suddenly, when you're writing these campaigns, you're thinking, I'm just talking to Dave. And you really kind of resonate with him. So when he sees your marketing material, our metaphorical guy called Dave, or whatever the name happens to be, he's really going to sort of see that and he's going to say, but that is exactly what I want. Now, when I say this doesn't mean because you're targeting a guy called Dave who's 65 and just retired and so on, doesn't mean that other people aren't going to buy that product. It's just that if you try and sell to everybody, you in effect sell to nobody. And if you try and pique everybody's interest, you in effect pique nobody's interest. If you look at, say, politics is possibly the easiest answer. I don't ever talk about politics, but there are people who support, in the UK, the Conservative Party or the Labour Party primarily is split pretty much down the middle of the British voting kind of level. But people who are on one side will resonate with much different messages to people who are on the other side. And older people will resonate with different things within that group and so on. Now, you can have multiple avatars. So if you're writing a message to get more seniors, that's one avatar that you have. If you're looking for junior members to come through, that's another avatar. If it's junior boys against junior girls, if you're after sort of, the mid-20s kind of area, if you're looking for people to do stay and play packages, that might be another avatar totally again. But once you start to get this in your head, you start to write to that person, and trust me that the way your messages come across to people will exponentially improve, and as a result your sales will get vastly better. Hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously give me a message. As always, I'm quite happy to answer any questions you might have. If you know anyone you think might enjoy this video or might learn something from it, feel free to share it with them, tag them in this post or whatever you happen to do. I'll leave you with that, but I will look forward to speaking to you in another video very soon. And as always, any questions, give me a shout. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.